Hello, licensing class, and welcome to our continued discussion on Chapter 7, where licensing money comes from. We talked about royalties. We did some equations on how royalties are calculated. We talked about guarantees and how guarantees are adjusted against royalties. And we also talked about advances. Advances are paid at the time the contract is signed or licensing agreement is signed. And advances are usually a portion or percentage of the guarantee for that year. Typically around 25% or so. Alright, now we're going to talk about graduated royalties. Okay, these are not royalties that went to LIM and finished 4 years and graduated. No. Graduated royalties are royalties rates that are adjusted over time, okay, or adjusted when various milestones are reached. Okay, so the royalty rate may be 10% for the first 200,000 units sold, and then it may adjust down to 8% for the next 200,000. Okay, so graduated royalties are royalty rates that adjust as the licensee reaches various milestones. And this is all within the contract itself, or in the licensing agreement itself. Okay? And it could be whatever they want. They could go up, they could go down, depending on what both parties agree to. Alright? Like I said, it could be 8% royalty for the first 200,000 numbers of units sold, and then it goes up to 9%, or it goes down to 7% for the next number of units sold. And again, it could be cap off at 10% for all units above that level. Okay, so it can graduate up 8, 9, 10%, or it can graduate down 10, 9, 8% over the course of the contract or licensing agreement. Okay. Graduate royalties are written into the contract itself, and they protect the licensee. All right, similar to how the guarantees protect the licensor, graduated royalties protect the licensee. The more they sell, the more they'll have to pay, usually on a graduated royalty scheme, but it lets them get off the ground at a lower royalty rate in the beginning. Make sense? All right. Next thing I want to talk about are free goods. All right, free goods, stuff that's free. Like when Dom comes into class and gives out her plethora of assorted items to the students. They're free. Alright, some licensed merchandise is royalty exempt. Okay, so the licensor and the licensee enter an agreement, but some of the merchandise is royalty exempt. It means that it's not counted, and therefore royalties do not need to be paid on it. Alright. Samples used in the selling process are usually royalty exempt. So, the licensee may give out 200 free samples. Alright, those are free. So, there's no royalty paid on those. Alright. Merchandise distributed in-house. Alright, so if you want your employees to wear the accessories or the shoes or the apparel, and you give to them for free or at a discount, those are royalty exempt. It means the licensee does not have to pay a royalty to the licensor for those goods. Alright, so free goods. Some licensed merchandise is royalty exempt, meaning that the licensee does not pay the licensor a royalty fee for those. Samples and merchandise distributed in-house. Alright, and also products sold to the licensor for resale. Alright, so if the licensee produces the product and then sells it back to the licensor for resale, there's no royalty on that. Okay, because the licensor is going to make their money on the resale. Good enough? Alright. Also, there are some allowable deductions to the royalty figure or royalty amount. Alright. Allowable deductions. Alright. Royalties based on a net sales price. Alright. Usually it's the manufacturer's selling price where royalties are based on. But there could be a deduction be based on a net sales price less these allowable deductions. All right, allowable deductions. These are allowable deductions for cash or volume discounts to retailers. All right, so if the licensee gives volume discounts to retailers or gives cash discounts to retailers, there's an allowable deduction off the royalty that they need to pay to the licensor. All right. Also, there are allowable deductions for returns. All right. A lot of times, the licensee distributes out the goods to the retailers, and then they don't sell, and they are returned back to the licensee. There's an allowable deduction for that. You do not pay royalties on that. All right. Also, if there's certain returns paid by the people who purchased the item, send them back to the retailers, and then in return, those are sent back to the manufacturer. Those returns are allowable deductions where a royalty is not paid. Sometimes for freight. All right, the licensee can deduct the cost of freight before royalty is paid. All right, so if there's a cost of shipping these goods from place to place, that may be an allowable deduction that can be taken off the royalty fee. Advertising adjustments. All right, royalties can be adjusted for advertising purposes. The licensor requires licensees to participate financially in marketing of the property. All right, the licensor requires licensees to participate in the marketing of the property beyond the advertising its own product line. All right, so the licensor requires the licensee to participate in their marketing plan beyond what the licensee already does on its own for advertising the product line. There can be an adjustment for that. All right, it's all by contract. The licensor, if the licensor requires the licensee to participate in their marketing, there may be an adjustment. Okay. Also, licensee may be required to contribute to a CMF. All right, this will be on the quiz. CMF is a Central Marketing Fund. All right, so if the licensee is required to contribute to the CMF, that Central Marketing Fund, there may be an adjustment for that off the royalties. Okay. Total amount contributed to the CMF is usually 1.5 to 2%. All right, so the licensee is going to have to pay the licensor 1.5 to 2% of those advertising costs, plus cost of its own advertising. They're going to get a credit on the royalties. Okay. All right, and if that exceeds the guarantee, they may even wipe out what the guarantee is for that year. Okay. Sometimes, just so you're aware of it, royalties are applied to the retail price. There are times when royalties are based on the retail rather than the manufacturer's sale price. This is typically done in the book publishing industry. Only, not other areas, apparel, domestics, footwear, is typically not done. But in the book publishing industry, royalties are based on the retail rather than the MSP. Okay. And also, sometimes royalties are just flat fees. Okay, instead of a percentage of the manufacturer's sale price, a licensee may be required to pay a flat fee in lieu of that percentage. Example, they may have to pay 75 cents or $1.75 for each unit sold. Okay, instead of paying percentage, or maybe a flat fee. This isn't done as often. It's usually a percentage. Sometimes licensee may be required to pay royalties to multiple parties. All right, licensee has a contract. Per that contract, they may have to pay royalties to both to the trademark person, to some other parties that are out there. Normally, the royalty is higher than solely owned properties. but each licensor's cut is lower. Okay, so in a multiple party royalty scheme, where a licensee pays royalties to more than one party for a certain good, they're usually paying a higher royalty, but the licensees are getting less because they have to share that licensing fee or that royalty fee between multiple parties. Okay? This is used a lot in video game industry where the licensor, there's a royalty paid for the licensor for the trademarks, there's a royalty paid for the hardware maker, the technical stuff, all right, that makes the game work. So there's a royalty fee for that. There's a royalty fee for anything else. All right. So every party is going to get a piece of that royalty fee. It's going to be less than what they would get on their own, but they're all going to get a piece of it. Okay. And that's all I have. All right. Unless you guys want to continue on talking about royalties, guarantees, and everything else, that is all that I have for today. All right. Text me something. Text me. I don't know. Text me something. Just text me hello. Text me hello, and I will give you credit for Wednesday's class. See y'all on Monday. Take care.